Okay, I'm back. Hello. This is all very off the cuff, so totally out of my comfort zone here. Oh gosh, I can't be looking at myself while I do this. I just came on the screen. So I think most of this is just going to be community members because I'm talking about a project that the community's been working on. Let's go. There we go. The 2D object recognition project. So I wanted to start moving on some of this. I know that it's hard to figure out how to get forward or how to move forward. And I'd like to provide some guidance and be pretty hands-on. And I was thinking about really explicitly defining this environment in Python. It shouldn't be very hard. I mean, I just want to get some ideas kicked off and at least start some conversations. I would love this to be a collaborative project, like I said. And I don't know, Python is just because that's what I know. I could do it in JavaScript or I could do it in Python most proficiently. And I don't really want to write any more JavaScript right now. And Python 3 is what I'm going to shoot for. So Python 3, which means I can't use NewPick, the old NewPick. So we're going to have to, but we should be able to use some other HTML implementation to get this done. And the thing is, Lewis pointed this out to me. All this stuff is really familiar to me because I've seen it all before. Where did this go? Here it is. So right here in HTML research, projects, union, path integration. I know some of you guys have seen this. This is basically what the project is. It's a 3-column network with multiple cortical columns with different sensory inputs. There is already sort of an environment in here somewhere that I'm going to have to dig up and find. And I don't know if I want to reuse it. I mean, it's simple. This is simple. It's just going to be like a 2-dimensional array. And each location can have features. So here's what I'm thinking. And I have to figure out how chat works here because I don't see. I haven't got the right things installed. Oh, I know what I got to do. I got to go to the Twitch dashboard. Okay. I don't know what any of this means that I'm doing here. How do I make sure I can see chat when it pops up? I know what I'll do. I'll pop this out. Sorry, this is a little tedious because I'm still trying to figure out this whole platform, this whole Twitch thing. It's crazy. Twitch is kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing. It's a pretty awesome platform, honestly. All right, so I can see chats now. And what I wanted to look at was this multi-column thing. Multi-column experiments, here we go. So I think we should be able, if I can't figure out how to do something, or if we can't figure out how to structure something, we should be able to look into this and find inspiration. So I'm going to switch over to so first I'm going to put on some music. First we'll be hearing Hot Rats by Frank Zappa. This is just going to be background music. I have to have music, so sorry. It won't be too loud, promise. This starts with a song called Peaches Regalia. And also the sirens, that'll keep happening. There's not much I can do about that. All right. The sirens will go away. Eventually. I'm in Watsonville, downtown Watsonville. The fire station's right there, the courthouse is right there, the plaza's right there, and I'm on the 4th floor of this big building, so the fire engines are constantly. Anyway, okay, Python. So here's what I'm thinking, and I'm cheating. Okay, I already started I already started on something. I'm just trying to get stupid imports to work. So here's the idea. And this is all within, I'm gonna turn this down a little in case it's bugging you guys. Here's the idea. I was going to use this 2D object modeling and just start throwing code in there. And like I said, if Martin or Jimmy or whoever comes along and wants to do something different and not in Python, totally feel free. I'm really just sort of trying to add some guidance and direction and structure. And if you want to do something that's related but different, again, go for it. But I want to anyway. I want to at least start some code. Start writing some code. So this is stupid simple, right? It's really stupid simple. A two-dimensional environment, and I'm just thinking about. I'm just going to have a two-dimensional array, and I have some accessor functions so that I can put a feature in a place and get a feature from a place. It's super dumb, and I was just trying to get the test structure set up. So basically, if you're expecting me to be giving you gems of wisdom throughout this, hold on, I need to go to a different screen for this. If you're expecting me to be giving you like gems of wisdom about HTML and how it works, that's not what this live stream is. This is me figuring things out in real time. So it is what it is. Now I got to go back. Is that it? Yeah. All right. So I'm trying to write a test called test environment. And I screwed up my PyCharm environment somehow by, somehow I screwed up my Python environment. I don't know why. It like made another copy of it. What is this? Get rid of this. Can I delete it? Oh, shoot. I think I deleted one too many things. Okay, cancel. Let's try this again. Let's try. It worked. See, why does it work? So when I run it from the command line, it doesn't work. This is one thing I hate about IDEs. PyTest can't find, why, no module named Python. What is importing Python? Oh, that's what it did. Test matches size input. Why is it oh, there it is, from python.environment. So I don't want that. I can't be importing from a folder. I want to import, so I need to name this, and it's called HTM2D because I don't know what else to name it. So I'm going to say from HTM2D.environment. No, just from HTM2D. That's really what it should be. Import two-dimensional environment. That should work. So I'm going to stick with that, and I'm going to figure out how to make that work. Okay. So what I need for, I need to get rid of this source directory. Let's delete this. I like this song. I'm going to move this environment into HTM2D. And I'm moving the tests out. The tests shouldn't be in here. The tests should be alongside it. Oh, hey, multiple cams, buildings on fire. What are you talking about? The building's on fire? Are you Falco from the forum? Nice to see you. I got one person, two people in chat so far. No, the building's not on fire. The fire trucks just go by all day long. And I have 3 cameras. Check this out. Camera 1, no, camera left, camera right, and then the turntable camera. So, you know, going hard, going at it hard, trying full on Twitch experience. All right, what was I doing? HTM2D tests. So I want to run this. I don't need an init here. Why is this here? I hope I don't need an init here. What? Why is this init here again? Oh, that's not the same one. But this shouldn't be here either. I sometimes just put init files everywhere. When stuff doesn't work in Python, I'm like, let's put an init file there. That's probably why. It's probably why it's broke. It's usually not. Okay, let's try this again. In PyCharm, doesn't work. No module named HTM2D. That makes sense because I have to add it to the Python path, right? I think. So how can I tell Python PyTest, or maybe Python let me look this up. This is now you're gonna watch me googling PyCharm PyTest Python path. Did I mean? Yeah, probably. Debug configurations PyCharm Python path. Plugin coverage Python path. Oh, I know how to do this. I've done this before. This is easy. This is easy. And also dumb. I mean, you probably shouldn't do it this way, honestly. Okay, sources. Boom. I just like, there it is. I think that's all you have to do. Now run. No? No module name. Oh, I did it in the wrong place. That's not, so this isn't the source I want. This is the source that I want to call, and then HTM2D, I hope, is considered a module. No. Oh no, this is another error. Cannot import two-dimensional. Okay, good. That's a different one, which I think we can fix. Just by, in this init file, we can just say import from environment, right? Import. Why doesn't it like that? From environment import two-dimensional environment. From environment import. Why doesn't it like that? I should be able to do that, and I thought that would make it. It's like, no way. No way. You don't like any of that. Okay, does it work on that command line? No. It still doesn't know what HTM2D is. So, two screen cams. Sorry, I'm not even looking at chat. I'm like off in La La Land. The sirens will come and go all day because the fire trucks or the fire station's right down there. All right. What was the error again? This module not found. No module named environment. Here. No. But I have right here. Oh, wait. This is the init file, right? Yeah. This is a. Init 1. Okay, now I'll do it. Why does it not see that there is a... in Python 3, is there a thing where you can specify modules or a module keyword? Maybe this is a Python 2.3 thing. Modules. File name is Fibbo, import Fibbo. Not fit, right. But there's nothing. So why isn't it working for me? I should be able to say from environment import class name. But no. From environment. So what I want to do. Oh wait, what if sometimes the IDE will tell me what I should be doing. Is that really gonna work? From 2D, oh, yeah. But does this work? No, because it still doesn't know that's a module. So somehow the IDE in its interpreter settings has said this is source code, in this Python folder, and probably just by adding it to the Python path. Anyhow, it works. So all I did was, my test was, I'm going to change my font size while we're doing this. I should have done this before. General fonts. Let's make it 20. Okay. So all I did was create a new environment, 28 by 28, and then assert that the environment size was 784, which is 28 times 28. So there's you could write a ton of really mundane little stupid tests, but I'm gonna go towards the more important tests. So I also know that I want to be able to add a feature to, or easily add a feature to an environment. So let's say test set feature, and I'm just gonna make one simple. I don't know. I always like to test as simple as possible, then move up. So I should be able to say environment env set. What's pep3? I should use camel case or snake case. I never remember. It already doesn't like it. Set so feature. Oh, it doesn't like it because it doesn't exist. One. Actually, it's going to be 0, 0. Because there's only one. This is a one-dimensional by one dimension. One column by one row, so there's only one element in it. So at that location, I'm going to set foo, and then I'm going to self assert equal env get feature 0, 0, whoops, 0, foo. All right. So here, this is also going to be a lesson in test-driven development, because I love doing this. When I really don't know what I need to build for something, or I just don't want to think too hard about it, I like using test-driven development because it tells me exactly what I need to do. It's my wife. Mine's around here. Okay, kissy face. You don't have to see that though. Anyhow, so I don't have a feature or a set feature function, duh. So let's create one. Def set. You guys, if I'm doing bad pep8, just change it later or tell me and I'll fix it. Oh, I need to have a feature. Just call it F. I have to spell that out. Oh, so I already created an array called features, but it's just a one-dimensional array. And I also need to have X and Y, right? So given X and Y, I was thinking, should I really have a two-dimensional array, or I could just keep it all in a one-dimensional array and just access it properly? It doesn't really matter, does it? Anyway, I'm gonna totally cheat and just do nothing. This is a great thing about test-driven development. You can. It's okay to cheat. Set feature, get feature, X, Y, right? And return foo. So is that gonna work? It should, right? So I'm using set feature, get feature, and now it works. So hey, I passed the test, everything works. Move on to the next test. My wife and I have this joke. I should not, she's just gonna be mad if she knows her texts are coming across my screen. That I gotta stop that somehow. How do I stop it? I'll worry about it later. So what I should really do is call this test feature, oh, and then I'll test one feature and then test many features. This is pretty typical of what I like to do when I'm doing test-driven development. Test one, test many, test 0, something like that. So in this case, I'll say, oh, I'm going to have two things in here. In the first space, there'll be a foo. In the second space, there'll be a bar. And I'd better say, if I ask for the first space, I'll get this. And if I ask for the second space, I should get bar, right? That makes sense. So now I should have a failure, right? Test set many features failed, many features, because it wasn't. It's always foo, 'cause that's what I programmed. Okay, so now we gotta actually do something. And I probably just will implement this. Let's just make this a multi-dimensional list. Might as well. And so I think in Python I can do this. I didn't size the arrays, but I think I can just set them by index. So let's see. Self features X, Y. This is not safe, by the way, at all, but I don't care. We're just going to do it. And return self features X, Y. That should work, right? That should work, right? It seems too simple, doesn't it? What was my error? List assignment index out of range. So I do have to. So I'm going to have to use these width and height. I think I can just say array, right? Okay, create Python array. Python 3, create array of size. I haven't only been doing Python for a few years, and is that it? That's it? That's so easy. Okay. So let's call this, what is it? What are we gonna do? Width, so this is row, columns and then rows. So I'll just say columns equal width, is that right? Int X, oh, that's C. What am I talking about? Times 5, none times 5. Okay, I can do that. None times width. Okay, and then it's going to be one of those in every single, and then so for height. Is that the way I want to do it? Because I want features sub X. So the first array, the one in the outer array's got to be columns. So this is actually going to be rows. Rows. Yes, right, rows. One row is thing times the width. No, these are columns. Oh, I'm totally confused now. Let's just do something until it works. Okay, so for what I really want to do is create okay. Okay, I've almost got this. I gotta do this really Python-y way. Columns first, so width first. Okay, and then this one is gonna be none, right, times height. This might not work. It worked. So I don't know if it worked because it worked because I'm thinking what I did, but what this should have done is created the whole features array. Let's test. Okay, so let's test. We're gonna have to test this and make sure. So let's test the dimensions. Let's send in size matches input dimensions. That's kind of a boring test. Let's test all. Let's test all features are initially none, because why not? There's nothing in it. We created an empty environment. Okay, so let's create. Okay, let's do it like this. Let's say W equals 5, height, width and height. Height equals 10. It doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to go through all of them. I'm going to say, actually, let's do a count. Count equals 0. Okay, because we're going to want to make sure that these assertions were done. And I'll just say env equals 2-dimensional environment WH. And then for, okay, now I gotta look it up again. Python loop x times. or Python way to run a process X times. That's always what I'm looking for, the Pythonic way. X in range. All right. Okay, for X in range width, for Y in range height. Oh, not, should be W. Okay, so now we got X and Y, and we should be able to say feature, let's call it F, equals env get feature XY, self assert none is none. Assert is none feature, and count plus plus plus. Okay. Oh, that's count equals, is it plus equals count? Python. All right. Okay, so now we have to say assert equal, the count should be W times H, right? The count should be W times H. Let's see if it works. Nope. 0 is not 50, so it's not doing the assertion. What am I doing wrong here? Count plus equals, is that what I did? Oh, thank you. Plus equals 1. Beautiful. Hey, this is awesome, it works. Yeah! Falco, he helped me out, man, that's awesome. I gotta make like a special badge for that. All right, test all features are initially none. They are. So now what? Now what? So I've got a 2D grid. Not much code here. Set and get feature at certain places. At this point, what I want to do is like visualize it. I want to write something, because I mean, this is dead simple, right? But it's still, it could be a rich environment. You could have features that mean things and could be displayed in different ways on 2D screen. You could have this 1,000 by 1,000. It could represent pixels, and the features could represent colors. This could be a very rich environment. So this is really all you need for 2D object recognition. I mean, you could represent an image, a JPEG with this. So I don't want to move past this. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than this, as far as I can tell. So what I would want to do at this point is, I want to write tests. Let me go into hero mode. Oh, wait. I got to turn the record. Side 2. There's a good one on the back of here somewhere. No. No, none of these are radio songs. That's okay. Anyhow, there we go. So, what was I saying? Oh, what I want to do is I want to figure out what environment we're going to end up writing the code in. If I can stick with Python 3, I would be happy, but I want to write a test spec, and I want to define objects within this spec, like this two-dimensional environment spec, really simple. The richness of data, Falco, comes from the fact that a feature can be any object. There you go. It doesn't have to hold more than one feature, but your feature could be an array. I mean, the features, we can't type them. We don't know what they are. And it makes it most flexible if you don't know what they are. So it can be whatever. So that means whatever's creating this, whatever's feeding this, is loading this environment, whatever is reading it has to know the language that it's being written in. You know what I mean? But that's no big deal, because we're doing it in the same place. Anyway, I want to try and visualize this. I'd hate to use matplotlib. I mean, if I'm already in Python, there's got to be a better. I'm like so attached to JavaScript visualization tools right now. I hate using anything else because I feel like I can do anything in JavaScript at the moment. And so I have a tendency to always want to do that. But the thing about this this is, we could easily write this structure out to some format that could send over the wire and could load in any engine in JavaScript. So I'm just starting to think about that because I want to be able to visualize it at each sort of, I mean, the environment's not going to change, but agents, we want to visualize the agent over top of the environment. So there's going to be an environment and associated with an agent. I mean, the agent is always going to be linked as we like walk through the experiment of whatever. It's going to be linked to the environment. It's going to have an XY location. And each one of its sensors is going to have an XY location. So anyway, what I want to write is some type of test description that says, here's my 2D environment, that describes it. You know, who am I like? Which camera? I'm switching cameras. Here we go. Here's my 2D environment, and that's as part of my test definition, and I'm going to load features in it, and I'm gonna say this is an object, right? Like I might draw, and this is going to be really not complicated. I'm gonna draw. This is not like a complicated thing that I'm thinking. Okay, come on. So, like, is this even gonna work? In a space like this is let's say this is our environment, just a box. I might say, oh, I'm gonna call this a feature, like just fill in this whole thing. I'm just thinking that each feature starting off can just be binary, one or zero. That is the absolute simplest thing we could possibly do. So we could just make a box over here and say every one of these grids XY locations has a feature. And then, you know, feature 2 or object 2 would be the same thing, but over here. And then we'd have another object and we describe it as something like this. I don't know, but something that's really simple and stupid, but is obviously distinct features in a space that you could classify as different objects, right? Anyone would classify these 3 things in this space as different objects. And what I want to do is write tests that, you know, you're allowed to, assuming that the thing has already been trained on these objects, and what that means, I guess we should talk about, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But assuming that they've been trained, show them one of these and have or show them 100 of these, and there should be a certain probability of classification accuracy. That could be a test. That's all. And that would be like the end goal of sort of the first stage of this project, is trying to do something like that. And part of the test, I mean, we don't necessarily have to classify the objects within this code base. The test could classify the objects. I mean, you'd have to write a classifier in the test, but you could do it. It would be nice if this classified the objects. That would probably be the best thing to do. So as far as training, I'm not certain about training. Like that's the hard part. You have to show it an object over and over, or let it move through the object space randomly, or however it ends up happening, and it will resolve that object. And then I don't know the exact mechanism of switching to the next object. What do we do? I think we have to reset. We have to reset some things to move to the next object and train it on the next object. And that will tell it, you know, you're in a new space, right? It has to know that it's no longer in the same object space, because every column has to know that, you know, it's moved into, we're now looking at something different. The exact mechanism of doing that, I'm going to have to look at the research code to figure out how, and ask them, because I do not know. But that training portion, we're not quite there yet. Well, we haven't done anything yet. So anyway, trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. Whoops. What did I want to do next? Probably put this back on, maybe the whole screen. Let's check in on this. So here's in the original thread. Here we go. So we want to put an agent on this. So since I'm only really working on mechanisms and environment right now, maybe I can help with just continuing to describe the experiment and not how the layers are going to hook up to things and how the input's going to flow from one place to another. Maybe I can just continue describing the experiment. So I could create an agent. We could, set an agent, give an agent in reference to an environment, and have the agent give us information about its sensors. For example, where are its sensors? Which are going to be things that we're going to need to do when we create an application with this. The sensors are going to have to know what feature they're at. So if we tell an agent, I guess this is a good question. We're doing like, can't get this. I'm doing like live design right now on it. But what's the interface going to be? Do you give an environment to an agent, or do you and use the agent as the interface to the environment, or do you give an agent to the environment? I feel like you should have an agent sort of have access to an environment or linked to an environment, and you ask the agent, what do you see? So leave the environment sort of a further away object in the architecture. We can create an agent class, give it an environment, and then it moves throughout it somehow. We could tell it move to, something like that. Let's try. Let's do something like that. Is everybody still with me? Because I could do that, or I could take off and we could do this later. Because I'm happy. Actually, let's just do it. I'm going to do it no matter what you guys say. We're going whole screen. Let's write an agent. Okay, I got a sort of an idea of what an agent's going to be. And test an agent. Test agent. Whoops, not pi. Do a little copy in here. Yeah, there's not a lot to copy. Actually, let's just do it. Import unit test. And then, why didn't I copy that when I was over there? This is going to be agent test. Agent tests. Test create agent. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing yet. Agent equals agent. Boom. It's not going to work. So I'm not even going to run it. So I know I'm going to have to say whatever I did over here from blah blah agents. Whoops. HTML environment dot agent import agent. I'll just call it agent. All right, so we're going to need a new file. Let's call it agent.py. Oh, it already exists. I already created it. All right. Class agent. I hope there's not a built-in agent init. Is that going to pass? It passed. All right, 4 tests, which are, how do I just, I know there's a way, I want to see my tests. I know there's a way to, there we go. Yeah, show me the tests that pass. Thank you. Don't hide them. Those are accomplishments. I hate that. Okay. So now I need to test some stuff. So let's figure out what we need to test. If we have an agent, we got to give it an environment. I'm just going to leave that test. It's perfectly fine. Test set agent environment. This is supposed to be a kid-friendly. Random. So the movement, it's going to be random. No way. If the TM, here's the thing about, hold on, I got to go into story mode. Here's the thing about if the HTM system in any way influences the movement, that changes everything, okay? That introduces this whole new aspect of intelligence, and it requires this idea of displacements, displacement modules, displacement cells. I'm not totally certain. I don't know exactly how to put those together yet, and I don't know if anybody does. That's a lot of that is still theory. We've got some code in I think supporting the frameworks paper. I don't remember, but the thing is, if you think about it, as soon as an agent moves, it affects the environment. So a movement is like if you're being moved, that means something totally different. It might as well be an environmental factor if you're being moved. If somehow you have a random movement throughout the environment, that's almost like that's just an attribute of how you sense the environment. Even if it's just a scripted thing. That's just, if you have no control over it, it might as well be part of the environment, that movement, that path, that whatever. But if you have agency over the environment, your representations of the environment are not going to work unless they incorporate that agency and its effects into the representation. So you have to feed back that movement back into the model, an efference copy of the motion, but it also has to understand displacements through space. Because movement, when an agent moves a sensor, it uses this displacement logic through a grid space. And that has to be represented. And that's still a research topic. That's still something, we know we're pretty sure it has to work that way somehow. So this doesn't include that. This is without movement, really. It's with scripted movements or random movements or something. The agency really has no agency yet. But this would be a springboard to, if we get this environment running, it could be a springboard for other experiments and tests. For example, not only true agency and movement and displacement modules within the structure, but orientation. Because, like I said in the forum, orientation is not represented at all in this, but you could imagine the agent being able to move like this through the space, which adds sort of a different dimension to it. Oh yeah, Falco doesn't believe in free will. Come on, that's not even the same argument. You've got to recognize that it's much different to have an environment control you than it is to make movements with your physical body. Okay, that has nothing to do with free will. Free will doesn't mean when I think my hand's going to move, it moves. When everyone thinks their hand's going to move, it moves, unless they have something wrong with them. Anyway, I don't want to talk about free will. This works. I mean, you can't argue with this. This is at least I don't think you can. This is how it works. If you have no agency in environment, you can have a much simpler representation of the world, of the environment. As soon as you have agency in the environment, things change drastically. How you represent the world changes drastically. In essence, it's one of the keys of intelligence, I think, is how we incorporate our own motions that were motivated by us, whatever mechanism motivated that, into the model of the world and how it changes the world. I mean, that is intelligence, that cycle. Okay. You just mean it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyways, let's write tests. I need an environment this time, don't I? So whoops, why am I over here? I'm just going to do the 1D environment. So here's what I should be able to do. Let's start the agent. Let's say it only has one sensor and it's only where it's at. Okay, we can always start simple, and then we'll branch out. We'll add more tests to move the sensors around. So we'll just make this. Yeah, I know you need to. You want to import that? Do it. Okay. And we'll say here's my agent. And I guess set environment, set env for now. So it's got to be simpler or more complicated than that. First of all, let's set a feature in this environment at 0, 0. That could work, yeah. Yeah, because it doesn't really matter. It could go sequentially. It could just go. It could be anything, I think. And maybe it would be interesting to modularize that and have different strategies for movement. I don't think it's going to matter as long as there's a decent representation of the space gets covered, you know. And I would rather actually not go bit by bit, because I want to recognize something. Because I think you're more likely to recognize, say for example, a digit, if you randomly sample it, than if you start on one side, because there's some areas that just you don't have sensory input there, so you're just going to be like blank 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 blank, and then finally get the top of a 6 or something, so or whatever. So I think random is probably going to be better. Set feature, I'm going to set it to foo agent set environment as a test. Yes, definitely do that as a test. So we don't even have a set environment. But what I want to be able to do now is say agent. He doesn't have sensors. He's only got one. I haven't even made a thing called a sensor yet. What do I want the interface to be is the question. Let's keep it simple and just say get feature. For now, I'm not assuming anything about sensors or anything. I just know that if the agent's at this location and there's a feature at that location, I should be able to get that feature, right? And I should be able to say assert equal foo. And that's not going to work because there's no set env function. Why did that work? Maybe it didn't run. Oh, that just ran environment tests. Okay, so I need to figure out how to run PyTest here. There we go. So now I can run all my tests. And there's no set environment in agent. I don't know. I'll just leave this out. Set environment env self.env equals env. And now I have to have a get feature. Is that what I said? And that will just pass right through return self.env get feature. But I need to know my location, right? So there's the thing I'm missing. Oh, thanks. Sorry, not the turntable. There's the whole one. Okay, so I was just writing an agent with a set environment and then a get feature. But then I realized, hey, I don't know what X and Y is. So I got to go back over here, test agent. So when I set the environment on an agent, I need to tell the agent where it's at, right? Let's assume that I have to tell the agent where it's at. So I'm going to tell it you're at 0, 0. There's only one space, so that's where you're going to be. X, Y. And how am I going to denote that? This isn't going to work because this is going to be dependent on the sensors, but this is how TDD sort of works. So you just sort of write things that work all the way through, but you know they're going to mutate into other things. So let's say, oh, I have an idea. As soon as I set my environment, see, all I got to do is make my test pass, right? So as soon as I set my environment, I'm going to say self.feature. I'm going to hide this feature. I'm going to say env.get feature x, y. And then here, I'll return it. It's okay to cheat, right? It's okay to cheat because you're going to fix it eventually. And if this passes, you're halfway there. Yeah, all right. All right, next test agent. So I set a feature and I set an environment on an agent, and then I got the environment from the agent and it was right. So now we could talk about moving the agent. Let's say test move agent in, it's just in move agent. We'll assume it's in an environment. Okay. So we're going to need a bigger environment for sure. Let's start with this. So test if there's a feature or not. Oh, in the environment. See, that's the thing. Okay, let me write this because I think that's a good idea to test because I don't think I have. I've got test specific features that I set. You mean test from the agent whether there's a feature or not? So I'm going to assume that if I've already tested that there's features over in here, that all I need to test is the agent can get the feature or pass the feature through. Hold on, I'll come back to that because I'm losing my train of thought. I was going to, so I'm going to make this one bigger, and I'm going to set a feature there, and I'll set a feature here, and we're going to move from one to the other, and then see if the feature changes. This is going to break. This is going to, as soon as I fix this, one of the tests is going to break when I do this. Hold on, it's time to change the record. This is my favorite. This is like my break time. All right. It's like a mental refresh. I've been into a lot of jazz lately, so this is a jazz album. Toshiko and Yoshio Lou Tabak and Big Band. It's not bad, honestly. I got it. I had never heard it before, and I got it because I don't know why. It was like $1. And I thought, why not? And jazz is jazz, right? No, some of it's really bad. Okay. This isn't the best, but it's okay. It's good enough for programming music. Where was I? All right, we're going to move the agent. So set a feature, create an agent, set an environment. Put the agent at 0, 0. Agent move 0, 1. This is, I don't think this is going to be the ending API because this feels wrong to call move on, to send coordinates into the agent that are just actually defined in an object that we set on it earlier. Feels awful, but I'm just going to do it for right now because. And so what I should do at this point is say get feature. Where's my set feature, set environment? Yeah, get feature. So I should probably assert this first, although I've already sort of asserted this. Okay, assert that we're first getting feature foo, then when we move, we get feature bar. And this is not going to pass. Right, and because because we got foo again, because in the agent we're only setting it right here when we set the environment. Oh, also because we don't have a move function. That's actually the reason. Move self, and now I guess we could say self dot f equals env get feature, and we can just take the x y. Again, I don't think this is how it's going to end up, but if it works, it works. This has got to be self-env. Emergent design is sometimes kind of weird. All right, that works. So basically, you set the environment, it immediately gets the feature where it's at, and every time it moves, it gets the feature where it's at. So the agent's not remembering where it's at. All it remembers is the feature, which is fine for right now. At some point, it may need to change when the tests evolve. So, all right. 4 directions, yeah. I was thinking about that. You could definitely do that. You could tell it to move north, south, east, west, or something like that. And eventually, I don't even know if that's because we're going to sort of programmatically, randomly throw it in different places. So. The only time I would want to do north, south, east, west is if it were being controlled by a player. Because then you have actually commands from the user that way. But if we're going to write a program that does this, I don't think we'll need navigation that way. We can just do it by index. Okay, what other types of tests can we do? Maybe we should add more features. What's an extra start event? I don't know what that means. Extra start event. Test all features are initially none. Test set many features. What else do we want to do? Oh, okay. No, that's not right. What else could we do? Whoa, I gotta go back to the document. Where was it? Here we go. Yeah, initially I was thinking about this type of movement. See, when we actually have some agency, we're definitely going to want to do this, because I think it makes sense to move. Like if you're sensing something and you're sensing a feature, depending on the feature, you might want to move one way or another. But again, we're getting back into having true agency, and I can't really do it right now. An extra drop the agent somewhere. I think I'm going back on this. I think I want to go back on this idea of only moving one direction. I think that this is just going to be randomly pop, 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 pop. I don't think it matters where you were before, because we're not even doing, this isn't really even a temporal system, honestly. This is just like mapping features to locations, and then pooling, doing this classification over the object pooling over top of it. Is that distracting? And then of course the lateral stuff, we'll worry about that later. So we can set the agent to any location in the space. Now I want to think about maybe the functions that I'm going to need to graph this or to like visualize it. Might be good to think about that now. Yeah, somebody else is watching. I think I'm having a hard time understanding what you mean with an agent. If I'd have to compare it with a human senses, what would the agent do? So the agent would be like the location of the body, and in this anyway, the north, south, east, west, the gray grids would be individual senses. But this is extremely simplified, really. So I'm thinking about a collection of senses, because when you think about cortical columns, you almost think about every cortical column being an individual sense. So I'm thinking of it that way. Like every one of these senses is its own cortical column, but I'm going to treat it like its own individual sense. Like they have to communicate with each other to come up with an idea of what's currently being sensed. Like what, and they're going to be looking at features in the space, you know. So right now, this guy is going to be looking at this space, and he might know immediately upon seeing this, well, there's only one object. And when I say object, I mean the whole grid, like this pattern of, oh, it looks like a river and maybe some trees. I don't know. You know what I mean? But if it sees this specific pattern and it's only ever seen that in this object in the past, it should be able to know the object immediately. And that's because it's going to get sensory indications from here, from this layer, that are going to predict where it's at in the object, that are going to predict what other sensory location or what other senses are going to be at new locations. You know what I mean? That's the idea anyway. Okay, but I can't jump from the kitchen to the bedroom without going through a corridor. No, but you can think about the kitchen and then the bedroom without thinking about the corridor. You have to think about, don't think about physical space. When you move a sensor through physical space, you have to go through all of the spaces in between. But when you construct that movement in your mind, in your brain, it doesn't necessarily model every position in between. It could just, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, you're definitely scanning a memory. Yeah, every time you do a movement, that's a memory. That's like every time you throw a ball, every time you've ever thrown a ball is contributing to that motion. All of your neurons are coming together that have all worked towards building that motion in your mind. to do it again every time you do it. It's you're replaying a memory, you're replaying an action. And when you think about throwing a ball, you know, those neurons, you can say, okay, I run them all through my head, my imagination, but disconnect it from the actual things that are going to my muscles. You can still do that. It's not like these are two different sets of neurons that are doing it. You can restrict some of them. Yeah, you have to go through the motions to build that memory. So we're not talking. So this is since we're not incorporating motion in this experiment. You're right. We're not doing it. We're not doing it in that way. You have to have this idea of displacements, a move from here to there, and how a movement, when I apply it in this space, can be applied over here and over here. You know, that's a displacement. If you think about music and objects in music, songs aren't described by certain notes. They're described by intervals between the notes, so the songs can move from key to key. And it's sort of the same thing if you're thinking about objects representations. You don't define where those objects are concretely in space. You define them where they are in relation to each other. So it's much like intervals in music. And it's like an interval, the space between here and here. It's sort of like an interval. It doesn't matter if it's here or here or here or here. So I feel like it's the same thing. You do not have to think about Chicago when you're thinking about Los Angeles and you think about New York. You don't have to navigate through all of those things. You can immediately jump. I mean, you can make links from feet to hairbrushes if you wanted to. I don't know why you would though. I think I am going to cut off this live stream now and get to some other stuff that I need to do. But this has been fun, and I really wanted to test out this whole Twitch thing, and I'm going to try and continue doing this type of stuff as I go along and see if we can grow our HTM community. Thanks, Falco, for making an account, and Tarzan, TW, if you're still on there. You guys feel, I don't think you can subscribe to my channel because I don't have enough viewers or something, but do whatever you can. I don't know what to do. I'm still figuring this stuff out. It has been fun. Let's see. Should go to a different screen. There we go. All right, thanks everybody. I'll talk to you all later. I'm gonna try and do streams Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you look down, like on the Twitch screen, I put a sort of a schedule down there, and I'm gonna try and stick to those. So check it out. Take it easy.